One of the things people argue about on extended health span and increasing the population, getting to 100, 120, 150, and there's a concept called longevity escape velocity, right? That there's going to be a point at which for every year you're alive, science is extending your life for more than a year. And that's an interesting idea to think about, in which case, accidents become really a thing to be concerned about. They concern about overpopulation, and you've hit this multiple times, right? And I saw you tweeting about it, or sorry, you're Xing about it today. Uh, sorry, but it's overpopulation is one of the biggest myths and biggest false.
Overpopulation is utter BS.
Yeah.
You know, it's such nonsense. The Earth is underpopulated, not overpopulated with humans.
Yeah. Look out the window when you're flying across the country; it's empty.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. It's like if you said if your goal was to flying from LA to New York to drop a bowling ball on a human, you would fail. So.
Yeah. One of my goals, I think the greatest gift we can give people in this abundance world is increased health span. I mean, when you think about what people want, they want happiness and they want health, right? No one wants to die in a painful cancer or dementia.
Yeah.
And I have extended to you many times, my friend. Come down to Fountain Health. Let me put you through our program. The world needs you around for another 30 years.
Okay. Well, what do you have any? What should I do? Let's say.
Well, I mean, so there are two.
What actions can be taken?
There are two quite.
This could be helpful for listeners.
There are two
on this discussion.
Yeah. So there are three things you need to know. Number one, is there anything going on inside your body that you don't know about? So the body is amazingly good at hiding disease. We found in our seemingly healthy adults, 2% have a cancer they don't know about. 2.5%, 2.5% have an aneurysm. 14.4% either have metabolic disease, coronary disease, neurodegenerative disease, and so your body is incredibly good at hiding disease, right? So you don't actually feel any cancer until stage 3 or stage 4. 70% of all heart attacks have no precedence. Your body is compensating constantly. And, for most of us, we know more about what's going inside our cars or our airplanes than we do our bodies. Yeah, I had a question for you. How many sensors are going up on Starship when you're launching? How many sensors are on board that vehicle, rough order of magnitude, getting back data?
Well, I guess when you count everything up, there's several thousand sensors.
And if I were,
I mean, there are 33 engines, so they account for the bulk of the sensors.
Sure, but you also have stress sensors and looking what's going on in the structures and avionics and communications across all the subsystems. And if I ask you how,
39 engines, including the upper stage. So there's several thousand sensors. And way more sensors than our body.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I ask you how many sensors do you have in your body, and so we don't look, which is insane because we do have the technology now to look to determine is there anything going on I need to know about, and when's a good time to find out about, like now, or what's likely to break, what's likely to undergo failure cycles, and then what's the most extraordinary therapeutics available to extend the human lifespan. So, I mean, for me, that's a big one. Let me ask you another abundance theme, which is education. Do you think any of our schools today, middle schools or high schools, are preparing any of our kids for the future?
Well, none that I know of.
Yeah.
Well, there probably are a few schools that are doing it, but probably 99% of schools are not. Schools are very slow to change, and I think that there does seem to be a move away from teaching the fundamentals, of writing well and math and history. I'm concerned about the whole woke agenda and ideology permeating through education.
Agreed.
And actually being destructive to education.
Agreed. I mean, how do you think? Do you have any thoughts? I mean, so At the end of the day, I think our best healthcare and our best teachers are going to be AIs, right? That
Yeah,
understand
true.
everything, and they demonetize and they democratize every aspect. I mean, the AI knows your kid's favorite color, sports star, movie star, what they know, the languages they know, what they did today. I mean, it's a way of giving every child on the planet the best education. I mean, you funded back years ago, if you remember the Global Learning X Prize that we did. We did
Yeah,
that we demoed in Tanzania with AIs on tablets. It was the earliest days of AI. Imad Mustaq, who you know, was one of the winners of that competition, who went on now to create
yeah,
stability. I mean, the challenge is I don't think the educational systems are going to give up that control anytime soon.
true. Well, if I look at how my kids are educated, they seem to be mostly educated by YouTube and Reddit,
Yeah,
and X as well, I
yeah,
suppose.
uh,
um, but they're constantly on the internet. That seems to be, and I guess a lot of kids these days, TikTok. um,
unfortunately. Yeah.
yeah, I think the education situation is problematic. Not sure what to do about it.
Um, I think uh, I think ultimately, Khan Academy is one step in the right direction. But I think part of it is getting our educational institutions to first realize they're not preparing kids for the world that's coming. I mean, this hits another point. We are such linear thinkers, right? We're projecting what we have and putting it out 4 or 5 years. I don't think people, let me ask you, do you think people are ready for what the world's going to be like in 2030?
Uh, no. Um, I don't know what the world's going to be like in 2030, so probably I wouldn't say that I'm even
Yeah.
necessarily prepared for 2030. I, the, I, we definitely live in the most interesting of times. It's like this, allegedly this Chinese saying that may live in interesting times is not a good thing. But I mean, I think personally I would like to live in the most interesting of times, and this is the most interesting of times.
I, I also
Um,
think it's the best time to be alive ever. The only time more exciting than today is tomorrow. I mean, by what measure? Yeah, we have environmental issues, but I think we have the best chance of solving those environmental issues with the technology we have now versus the technology we had 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, I generally think it's as a general sort of rule of living, it is better to err on the side of being optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Um, if you're gonna err one side or the other, better it's just a higher quality of life to err on the side of being optimistic and risk being wrong than pessimistic. And right. I mean, it's better to be. You'll just have a. You just enjoy life more.
What
Optimism is gonna make you
There
happier.
was a study of 14,000 people. It was 14,000 women and 1,500 guys, and it showed that those who had an optimistic mindset lived 14 to 15% longer than those with a pessimistic mindset. I mean, mindset's a powerful thing, and I think
Yeah.
undervalued by almost everybody. One of my favorite examples of this was, do you know what the environmental disaster of the 1880s and 1890s was? I'm sure you know. Um,
Of the is this back to Wales
no, no,
or
no,
is
no.
it?
It's another form of life. It's the horse manure
Oh,
disaster.
yeah, the horse shit problem.
Yes,
Um,
yeah. So-
what is this horse shit? Well, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, New York was basically a horse manure and urine and carcass nightmare.
it was terrible. People brought their motive power.
I mean, basically,
It
New York
stank.
smelled like shit. If you think New York subways are stinky right now, wait. I mean, try try it when it's just horse piss everywhere,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
People
You just
people moved from people moved into downtown New York, Detroit, Chicago. They brought their motive power with them, and the articles in the 1880s and 90s and into the 1900s. As you read this, the projection was disaster. It was going to be a disaster because horse manure was like growing. They had like special parking lots for horse shit at the corner of every street.
It seems like there's also a challenge because I think like if a horse lives, for on the order of 15 years, that means 1/15 of all horses are kicking the bucket every year. Um, so you just got, and so if you've got like 300,000 horses, it means you've got 20,000 horses dropping dead every year, and then you need a horse to move the dead horse,
or just
and this,
or just cover it with horse manure, let it decompose.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be like decomposing horse carcasses throughout major cities.
But then
And then like it's like, well, whose horse dead, whose dead horse is this? And people are probably quick to claim a live horse, but but but, but they're not rushing to claim a dead
uh,
horse.
but then and then
So
innovation came along, and here comes the car and solves the problem. And I think that's the problem that we keep on forgetting. We forget that we are incredibly innovative at solving problems. That's what humans are amazing at.
yeah, true. Actually, on the whale front, I don't know if you know.
Back to the whales.
It's a whale of a tale. Whale tales.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that the low point on whale population was in the 1800s because whales were being hunted for whale
Well oil, yeah.
blubber and whale
Yeah.
oil. Yeah. Um, but actually, the low point by far was in fact in the mid 20th century because uh, of a bureaucratic error in the Soviet Union.
Okay. This I have to
So,
hear.
they, they would always have these 5-year plans and quotas for whale tonnage. Um, Now they didn't actually have even whether the whale tonnage was usable tonnage in any way. They just had a quota for whale tonnage, and what they would do in the Soviet Union is they would just keep increasing the quota of everything every year, every 5 years. So that so the whale tonnage just got higher and higher and higher. And if you if you're a captain and you had a high whale tonnage, you'd get a medal and a raise. And if your whale tonnage was low, you'd be sent to the gulag.
You get
Um,
what you incentivize, baby.
yes, incentives matter, and so it got it just got to absurd levels. And you had Soviet whaling ships like going into U.S. and Australian waters to desperately trying to find whales, and and they would catch the whale, weigh the whale, and then dump the carcass
Oh my
overboard.
God.
I mean, there's a whole internet rabbit hole that you can go down on this, and which is basically a lesson in the follies of central planning.
And this is the problem of keeping laws on the books way
Yeah.
after they're useful to society.
Well, we do actually have a fundamental issue with the accumulation of laws and regulations because they are immortal, and humans are mortal, as we were just
Yeah.
discussing. With life extension. Um, so, so naturally, every year you're going to have this accumulation of laws and regulations until eventually everything is illegal.
I mean, everything is
Um,
illegal.
everything is
Yeah.
illegal. Yes, nothing is allowed because you're overlapping laws and regulations, and some of which are in fact contradict each other. Um, so that whether you go left or right, both left and right are illegal. So,
uh,
um,
my God.
it like SpaceX is. I mean, shame on the DOJ in this respect, in this particular case, where the DOJ, as you may know, is suing SpaceX for hiring only permanent residents and citizens of the U.S. The reason that we did this was because we were told very clearly that if we did not hire permanent residents of the United States, that would constitute a violation of international trade, traffic and arms regulations, ITAR, and the entire executive team of SpaceX and the board would go to prison.
Sounds like
So,
a good motivation.
uh, yes, and so we were literally told this by the government in very clear terms. And I mean, you're well aware of
I
ITAR
am well aware of
and
it, yes.
yes, it's a nightmare. Um, And we would like to hire,
which by the way, puts us in a non-competitive world against other nations.
yes, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So then the DOJ, is suing SpaceX for not hiring asylum seekers. Now, an important point here: not asylum those who have been granted asylum, those who are seeking asylum.
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of people seeking asylum.
Yes, so we're damned if we do, and damned if we don't. So if we hire someone who's not a permanent resident, we, we're breaking the law. And if we don't hire someone who's not a permanent resident, we're breaking the law. So this is an example of the madness that we're facing.
Buddy, I want to compliment you on something which, and I've known you for long enough to have seen you gone through this, where you have bet everything over and over again. You've bet your entire fortune, gone into debt to do the things that you believe in. And I have a question to ask you, which I've been dying to ask, and I'm going to start making this known. There are so many billionaires on the planet who have tens of billions and hundreds of billions of dollars who are effectively sitting on it and not changing the world, not putting it in, other than for increasing its return, which is not a bad thing. I think the more wealth and free energy there is out there to do things. But can you speak to that? I don't know if you're willing to, but there are a few people like Mark Benioff and Eric Schmidt and yourself top of the list, who invest on making the world a better place, solving global grand challenges. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that smart people with resources should care about the good of civilization, the future of civilization, even if there is not, even if they're not particularly altruistic, because you cannot exist in absent civilization. If civilization collapses, it's all over. There's like people who've got like these sort of bunkers in like other countries or
Yeah.
Hawaii or whatever. And I'm like, listen, do you really think that you're going to make it in an apocalyptic situation? Um, like they'll come and find you in that bunker and they'll pry you out and get your stuff. And it's going to suck anyway. So really, smart people with resources, any smart person with resources, they just have some long-term perspective.
I mean, listen, it's you
Should
and Jeff Bezos right now who've got the biggest long-term perspective. And I see, I'm just curious about how do you incentivize other people to really help the world accelerate, and make the world a more productive place, right? The best way to become a billionaire is to help a billion people. The world's biggest problems, the world's biggest business opportunities.
uh,
Do you believe that?
well, I guess maybe we should just talk to people more. I guess just talking to them, and I think if perhaps just raising conscious awareness the fact that um, there is no living without civilization. Um, one one doesn't actually have to make an altruistic argument. You can actually make even if it's a purely self-seeking argument. Say like life would be miserable without civilization. And if you want to know what life is like without civilization, just go try living in the forest naked for a day, and you will be naked and afraid, and quickly realize civilization is awesome. You have to eat bugs and get eaten by bugs.
Yeah. And we're
So
so
yeah.
interdependent upon each other to enable the state of technology and capability we have today. Um, I'm curious, is there anything that you think that isn't becoming more abundant out there, or anything that we have an abundance constraint on? I'll just mention, well, answer that first. Then I want to come and talk about the carbon removal X Prize that you funded. 1 second. We're we're creating abundance of food, energy, water, healthcare, education. Are we constrained in any way?
I mean, no, I think I agree with you that the future most likely has abundance. Like we shouldn't be complacent about the future. Um, Complacency and entitlement are not a recipe for success. But the most likely outcome is one of abundance of goods and services. That is certainly where we're headed.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
when I saw you last,
That's highly likely where we're headed.
very likely, yeah. When I saw you last, you said, definitely abundance after AGI. And I saw, when you were talking about Optimus, which is awesome, by the way. Let's just start with that. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. I mean, Optimus. I need to make sure the Optimus is, doesn't it doesn't add to civilizational risk. Because you don't want like a billion of these things, all with centralized control.
unless
What could go wrong? Has anyone made a movie about that?
unless they obey you.
Well, I don't think they should obey any one person or organization.
Yeah.
Like I think you have to have local control.
But
It has to be decentralized because any central control is going to be problematic. Because you just can't be like it could be a rogue AI takes. I mean, let's literally a movie. A rogue AI, Terminator, takes over, somehow gains control of the mothership of that controls all the Optimus robots or something like that. That is basically it needs to be it needs to be impossible for that to occur.
let me ask you. I always love combining your companies because it's like it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. Starlink and Starship together. How about Optimus and Neuralink? When can I plug into an Optimus with my Neuralink connection?
Well, hopefully the first first Neuralink in a human will hopefully be soon, within the next maybe this month or next. Now, this is really just at first just
Sure.
trying to give quadriplegics and tetraplegics the ability to control their phone and computer. It's basically like the first product is telepathy essentially, um, or telekinesis, and then the second product, sort of tentatively called blind sight, where we can restore sight even if somebody has lost both eyes and their optic nerve.
Amazing. Go straight to the visual cortex. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now these things all already work in monkeys. And I'd just like to reemphasize: no monkey has ever died because of a Neuralink, and we treat our monkeys extremely well.
last time I spoke to you about this, you were playing Pong against Pager, I think.
That's right. Actually, it turns out monkeys love playing video games. They're really just like us. I mean, they love eating snacks and playing video games.
I'll tell my 12-year-old boys about that.
Yeah, I mean, you see the video of Pager playing, monkey mind pong, just telepathic, playing pong telepathically. He's not restrained in any way. He's just sitting on the sort of tree branch,
drinking smoothies
and drinking a smoothie and playing pong.
Yeah.
He's not held down, In fact, he gets upset when we take his video game away, just like humans.
Yeah, just like our kids. That's awesome. And this stuff, I mean, giving sight to the blind, I mean, it's biblical stuff. And this is, again, coming back to the original, kicking off the new year with a positive mindset, with an abundance mindset, with an exponential mindset, with a moonshot mindset, right? I think, and I hope you agree, like, I think for entrepreneurs and people listening, like the single most important thing we have is our mindset. how we see the world. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to be. I mean, happiness is, I think, is a decision. I mean, largely. I mean, there are obviously people that have chemical imbalances, but
Mm.
for most people, the difference between being happy and unhappy is deciding to be happy.
Well, as we begin to wrap up, what other thoughts for people on abundance? What other mindset thoughts do you have for folks here?
Well, I do think that the birth rate is too low for humans, as I'm always going on about that. Um, just
Longevity,
you know, if
baby.
there's
I'm solving it with longevity. I'm going to keep people alive longer.
okay, well,
And robots and AI.
sure, but I mean, it just the current situation
Is grim. It's grim.
dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of countries are, you know, if you look at say
And
Korea,
Italy.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, they're losing roughly half their population per generation.
Yeah.
Um, that means 3 generations, they're 1/10 of their current size, and with the 1/10 that remains, um, being very old.
Yeah. The numbers for folks, the replacement number is 2.1 children per family on average. And Europe is at 1.5. Asia dropped from 5.7 in the 1950s to 1.9 today, which is crazy. North America dropped from about 3 to 1.6. We're below the replacement level in the United States. And it is an issue. I mean, we need smart people on the planet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, if we don't make new humans, we won't have humanity. And even with longevity, we'll live longer, but we're not live forever. So I think we just need it's you know, I'm concerned that like a lot of people think that the planet is overpopulated, and that's one of the things contributing to a low birth rate. Um, in fact, some people I've encountered think they're basically um, being martyrs for not having kids, and it's just not true. Um, I think we should uh, take the position that we actually have a civic responsibility to have kids, to at least keep uh, the human population constant. Ideally, we should grow it, but we should at least not have population collapse, which is what we currently have.
I, I think people fear the future, and I mean the conversations I've heard is I don't want to bring children into this world. It's too dangerous. AI is going to destroy humanity, the environment. We're destroying the environment and so forth. So I think part of it is getting people to be optimistic about the future versus pessimistic, which is one of, as you said in the beginning of this space, is one of my missions. If people think the world is getting better and they have a hand in making it a better place, you most definitely do. Um,
Yeah, I think people should be optimistic about the future. They still, the Earth can handle far more humans than currently exist, and uh, the danger is not a population explosion, but population
mm.
collapse. Um, so I would just encourage as many people as possible to have kids, and ideally have a lot of kids, because they're going to make up for those who for whatever reason don't
Buy an extra bottle of
have
wine
kids.
tonight, folks.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So
uh, would
yeah.
you let's close out on the conversation of AI and AGI, which I know a lot of people are always interested in, and there's a real fear about AI. What would you say to dissuade people? I mean, it's you've I've heard you say 80% probability we make it through, and we need to protect the downside. Um, can you speak to that? How can people walk away more optimistic than pessimistic on this front? And how do you think about, is it containment? Is it shaping how we train our AI systems? How do you think we navigate digital superintelligence?
Well, the rate at which AI is growing is it really boggles the mind.
Yeah.
So it currently seems as though the amount of compute dedicated to artificial intelligence is increasing by a factor of 10 roughly every 6 months. It's faster than annual, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I recently heard today about a gigawatt class AI compute cluster.
Wow.
That's, I think it's being built in Kuwait or something to that effect. And it's like 700,000 V100s, which is a couple generations above, 2 generations
The
beyond the
H100, yeah.
H100 that's currently in production.
Yep.
So this is a staggering amount of compute. And there are many such things. That's just the biggest one I've heard of so far. But there's a 500 megawatt installation happening. There's multiple 100 megawatt installations in the works. It's not even clear to me what you do with that much compute, because when you actually add up all human data ever created, you really just run out of things to train on quite quickly. Like if you've got maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30,000 H100s, you can train on
Synthetic data.
almost every.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically you have to have synthetic data, because for certainly well under 100,000 H100s, you can train on all human data ever created, including video.
And it's not, and
So
it's not just the compute, which is the major scarce resource, but it's also the number of entrepreneurs focusing in this area, the amount of capital that's going into this area, the amount of data available. I mean, it's all increasing, and it's all feeding on itself. And it's just, hitting your point about the speed at which it's progressing is I think the word awesome is comes to mind, or staggering.
yeah, it's really staggering, and for sure. So I'm just trying to give a sense of scale. I've never seen anything move this fast. Any technology, this is the fastest moving thing. So, in terms of aiming for AI safety, my best guess of my sort of primitive biological neural net
Mm-hmm.
is that we should aim for maximum truth
Mm-hmm.
seeking and curiosity. Um, that's my gut feel for how to make AI as safe as possible. If the danger with programming morality and with an explicit morality program is what is sometimes referred to as the Waluigi problem. If you create Luigi, you automatically create
Mm-hmm.
Waluigi by inverting Luigi.
Sure.
Um, so um, so I think we have to be careful about programming in, sort of an arbitrary morality. But if we focus on maximizing truth with acknowledged error, that's probably, I think that's the way to maximize safety, and also to have the AI be curious, because I think that Earth is much more interesting to an advanced AI with humans on it than without humans.
I agree with you. Now, a interesting question of: do you think with vast intelligence comes significant empathy and respect for life?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's the hope
Um,
at the end of the rainbow here. That I don't want to use the word AGI. I'll use a digital superintelligence as a term. With a digital superintelligence that is able to be more benevolent and support us, because sometimes I'm not sure us squishy meat sacks can make it through our own horseshit problems that we put together. So maybe there's a value there. My I think on the whole, AI is the single most important technology we ever invented, and it is going to uplift all of humanity. I think it's what you said. After post AGI comes abundance. I think it's the interim issues in the next 1 to 4 years. Right? It's not artificial intelligence; it's human stupidity.
yeah. Um, Well, I mean, one way that AI could go wrong is if the extinctionist philosophy is programmed into the AI, whether, whether implicitly or explicitly. I mean, probably not explicitly, but there's a strong danger of an implicit extinctionist philosophy being programmed into AI. You know, and
What would that look like?
like,
What would that look like?
well, like there's this guy on the front page of the New York Times, I think about a year ago. He's head of the Extinctionist Society, and he was literally quoted as, "There are 8 billion people on Earth. It would be better if there were none."
Oh my God.
And yeah, so and if you take the extreme environmentalist argument, especially like the implicit extreme environmentalist argument, um, there's an implicit conclusion that humans are a plague on the surface of the Earth. So I think we have to be quite careful about an implicit, like if the extinctionist movement was somehow programmed into AI as the optimization, that would be obviously extremely dangerous.
Yeah, to say the least. Um,
Yeah. and but you know, there are people, quite a few people actually, who view humanity as a blight on the surface of the
yeah,
earth.
and we are coming down to, there is the accelerationist movement, the decelerationist movement, the boomers and the doomers. But I think people forget to realize, or don't realize and forget the fact that we romanticize the past, and the past life was short, brutish, and you were dead by 40. The life that we enjoy today is a result of the extraordinary technology that we brought to bear.
Yeah. So like, Hobbes, life is nasty, brutish, and
Yeah.
short. I actually I had a little Yorkshire Terrier once, who was nasty, brutish, and short, and kept biting people. So I called him Hobbes.
Perfect.
And I would tell friends that came over, watch out for the dog. And they'd look at this miniature Yorkshire Terrier and laugh, and then he would then bite them on the ankle. And I said, watch out. I said, watch out for the dog.
That extinctionist meme is the same sort of, you discount it until it starts being a mind virus, in part, as you've called it, and it starts disrupting us.
If you convince people that we're running out of resources on Earth, that there are too many people in the world, and the only way to survive is to have far fewer people, which a lot of people are believed to be the case. And like I said, if that somehow gets programmed into AI, and that AI becomes the most powerful AI, then we're in deep trouble.
Yeah, we need a counterforce to the population bomb. I mean, what an extraordinary disservice to humanity.
Yeah.
That
Erlich's book was terrible, nightmare. Maybe the most anti-human book ever written.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The But give people hope on the flip side here. Those who are saying, again, going back to, I don't want to bring up my children, because I hear this all the time, and I'm sure you do too, in an age where AI is going to destroy us. So short-term problems, long-term problems, short-term solutions, long-term solutions. You said make it curious, make it maximum truth-seeking, 100%. Is it okay to say that we're going to have issues in the short term and we're going to have to deal with them? Or do you?
There won't be. There will be some issues. I mean, essentially, at this point, no way to stop AI. It is accelerating whether people like it or not. I mean, that's why, together with a number of really smart people, we created XAI.
Sure.
Hopefully, some really smart humans will continue to join XAI and build what is intended to be a maximally truth-seeking and maximally curious AI. Anyway, I think that's really important. So,
Elon, listen, on behalf of those of us, and I think everybody here listening who are pro-humanity and pro-uplifting humanity, and making us a multiplanetary species, and living a longer, healthier life. And the one place I disagreed with you on X is on having people live longer. People don't need to die for there to be new ideas. The CEO of Ford and GM didn't have to die for Tesla to come into existence. So we're
Yeah.
I want to just say thank you for all that you're doing and setting a model for other industrialists and entrepreneurs out there to take on and solve big, huge problems.
Well, thank you. I would encourage people to be optimistic about the future. Like, err on the side of optimism. You will be happier for it. And as you pointed out, probably live longer. So, and I'm not totally against life extension. I think we want to be. I don't think we want to necessarily have people live forever. Or live for a very long, like thousands of years. That I think that would potentially lead to ossification of society. It would I think lead to ossification
Sure.
of society. But I mean, solving dementia and curing cancer, I think, are good things, obviously. So I'm not sure we're actually that far apart on the life extension thing. I think we're probably mostly in agreement. Yeah, we just don't want to have like can you live for do you want Kim Jong Un living for 1,000 years?
No, but I'd like Elon Musk and Peter Diamandis living for 150 years, and a few other thousand amazing entrepreneurs out there.
Sure. So it's there is a challenge that, like, a lot of people, they really never change their mind, they just die. And this is actually, I'm not sure who originally said this, but even in physics,
Yes.
which is extremely rigorous, that 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 physics in a lot of cases has advanced one death at a time.
Yeah, my friend Brian Keating, who's a astrophysicist, reminded me of that, and maybe it was true, but in this world of entrepreneurship, I think we do live in a meritocracy to a large degree, and the best ideas can bubble up to the top faster than ever before, especially with AI now, where you can build companies, extraordinary companies with a couple of people and a lot of tech. I have one last question, and then I know it's dinner time there. The future of XAI. What's your vision there, pal?
Well, as I was saying, I think the path to AI safety is to build an AI that is maximally truth-seeking, with acknowledged error, that is maximally curious, and I think that that is most likely to lead to a good outcome for humanity, because we are much more interesting than not humanity. Like obviously, I'm a big fan of Mars, but Mars is much less interesting because there is no human civilization there. And if you take humans, for example, we could hunt down all of the chimpanzees and kill them, but we don't. And in fact, we make efforts to preserve their habitats. We would so anyway. I think that is the path to a great future, and a maximally positive AI is to be rigorously truth-seeking, always acknowledging some amount of error, and maximally curious. That's the goal of XAI is, and the company motto is understand the universe. And
That's a good mission, and one that's going to take a bit of time. I can't wait till the first AI is able to come up with new theories of physics and new innovations. That's going to be. I mean, I don't think that's far away, and I think that's going to be one of the most awesome times ever to be alive.
True. Like we definitely live in the most interesting times, and I actually, for a while, I was kind of depressed about AI. I kind of got fatalistic about it and said, like, well, even if AI was gonna end all humanity, would I prefer to be around to see it or not? I guess I would prefer to be around to see it, just out of curiosity. But obviously, hopefully, AI is extremely beneficial to humanity. But the thing that sort of reconciled me to be less anxious about it was to say, well, I guess even if it was apocalyptic, I'd still be curious to see the. It's like, I'll be curious to see it.
I remember I was at your birthday party at one of your homes here in LA before you sold them. And Larry Page was there and Sergey was there,
Oh yeah.
and we were having a conversation about living in a simulation. And the notion was we're in the 99th level of the gameplay, and this has got to be a simulation because you couldn't. Why would it be alive right now in this single most interesting time? And then the only comment was, "Don't poke the simulation, or it will end."
If we are in a simulation, the way to keep the simulation going is to keep being interesting. So, like, humans run lots of computer simulations because we don't know what the outcome's going to be, and we're curious to see. We'll run lots of simulations, like Tesla will run crash simulations, and SpaceX will run, rocket flight simulations, and we only stop doing the simulations when the outcome is extremely predictable and boring.
Yes.
So if we're in some alien
That's a
computer,
great argument. That is perfect, right? When
yeah,
it's absolutely known,
if
if we're not entertaining enough to the digital gods or the universe gods, they'll end the sim.
yeah, we just need to make sure we have to keep the ratings up.
Yeah.
But this is why I think, like, one of the ways to predict the future is that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely, as seen by a third party, as though we were in an alien soap opera.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily good for those in the soap opera. Like, you could be watching a World War One movie and seeing people get blown up,
Yeah.
um, and you're just eating popcorn and drinking a soda. But we're in the movie.
Yeah. Well, let's not get
So
dystopian
yeah.
here, because I think we can have a really positive outcome of a lot of other cool stuff, for sure.
I think the most likely outcome is positive.
And I think if and I think that's partly a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't believe so, if you believe it's going to be a dystopian outcome, then you're going to be back on your heels, protecting yourself, not investing in the future, and it unravels. And this,
Yeah.
and so I think the message of this entire space is this is the most extraordinary time to be alive, the most exciting time to be alive, a time where you know a lot of individuals listening on the spaces has more power than kings or queens or heads of nations had just a few decades ago. And it doesn't take a government or a large corporation to solve a problem anymore. An entrepreneur with a few H100s can do a good job.
Yeah, I think we should err on the side of optimism. We should err on the side of optimism, and we should have kids. Like, to err is human.
and to
HEIR.
and to reproduce as human.